Good afternoon again. Haiti Oropesa with Florida You Judge. And shortly, in 4 minutes, we're going to start our interview with Hillsborough School Board candidate Tammy Schamberger. She's going to come on and she's going to discuss briefly her candidacy for District 5 in Hillsborough County. She is seeking another term to serve Hillsborough as a school board member. Go ahead and start sharing, share, send to your friends, family, anyone that you know that is voting in Hillsborough County. Share with them so that can become more informed. We are opening up the lines for you to call in, or if not, you can also, if you don't want to call in, you can submit your comments. And so we'll see if we have enough time after a couple of questions that I'm going to be asking Ms. Schamberger, particularly about the $50 million deficit that we're reading about in the news. I'm gonna be asking her about that. Three minutes away from the start of our Florida U Judges interview of Hillsborough School Board candidate Tammy Schamberger. I'm excited about this interview. I want to talk to her and ask her about this issue that we keep reading about in the news as to the $50 million deficit in the school district in Hillsborough County. So please start sharing, tell your friends, family to tune in if they can now. If not, share on your respective platforms so that later on, when this stays on as a pre-record, that they can watch this afternoon's interview of Hillsborough School Board candidate Tammy Schamberger. Good afternoon for those of you that are already tuning in. Haiti Oropesa for Florida You Judge. Thanks for tuning in. We're just 1 minute away from our interview with Hillsborough School Board candidate Tammy Schamberger.
Tell me why you holding on your drink, man. You should be on the floor, don't you think, man? Why come to the club and just stand around? Kinda dumb to me, you should be getting down. Do me a favor, you see that lady over there? Go and ask her if she wanna shake a derriere. Man, just give it a chance. Are you one of those cats too cool to dance? Well, who would dance? Well, who would dance? Well.
Good afternoon, Ms. Schamberger. How are you?
Hi, good afternoon. I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me on this afternoon.
Always, always. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. And particularly, this is something that we do for the voters, for the public, the citizenry. It's important to vote. It's important to follow local races, elections in our respective counties. It's important, especially if it doesn't impact us. We should be mindful of loving our neighbor, making sure that they're the best of the best are in positions that are in positions of power to make policy to affect our lives, that of, in particular, in your race, that of children. So, I know that you're very busy, and so you're taking time. You're at your office now
Yeah.
working, and then also you're taking some time to being open to engage with the voters in the virtual town square. We're going to be taking call-ins. 813-221 is the call-in number. We already have somebody D'Angelo Angel, mwah, love him.
The
Two of
best.
my faves. I know that he supports you in this race. He's already publicly stated so in a very well articulated endorsement of you. So, good
Yeah.
afternoon. Thanks for tuning in. Please share and tell us a little bit about yourself. You're running for another term.
Yeah, so I am running for my second term on the Hillsborough County School Board. So I'm honored to currently serve you as your District 5 school board member. I was elected to this position in 2016 to represent our most marginalized and disenfranchised families in Hillsborough County. And I tell you, it's been a great learning experience, but it's been certainly one of the most fulfilling things that I've done ever, being able to advocate on behalf of our families. Because the work is so monumental, it definitely takes some time. And so while we've made great strides over the last 4 years, we certainly have a lot more work to do. We have general cycles of generational wrong that we need to correct and undo. And so I look forward to serving this community for another 4 years.
Okay, so you know that the big talk that I keep reading. Listen, I don't vote in Hillsborough, but I am the, I am very in the life of a child, my nephew, who I love like a son, and so I am mindful of the impact of the school district where he resides and where he goes to school. So these are issues that are important to me. Okay, not just for him, but for children. We should all, as a society, community, be interested in the education of our children, the next generation, right? And how they're educated and their well-being in all respects. So there's something that's coming out in the news repeatedly, and it's a big controversy. It's huge. It's huge. You've been I know I follow Bianca Goolsby. She regularly has been touching upon the $50 million deficit, the 50, and you know that I'm concerned. I'm very concerned that, and I'm not going to name it just to keep it focused on you, but one
Mhm.
of the current school board members was at um a um just hold on. I started taking calls. Just give me a second to ask questions of Miss Schamberger, and I promise you that as soon as I wrap up, and it's not going to be long, I will start taking calls. But just give me a second to ask her some questions. I heard that there's a local, and you're familiar with Tea and Conversation. Candy Lowe has been heading that for 12 years now. And so I heard that there was that question was brought up to one of the candidates, and they were twirling like a ballerina and laughing and I got confirmation of that from some persons that were present, especially one of the moderators. So that's disturbing to me. So let's address the elephant in the room. It's not even an elephant anymore. It's out there. Um, Talk to me about the issue with the $50 million deficit. And they've asked you this question because you are on some finance committee.
Mhm.
Can we address that?
Yeah,
Let's address it.
absolutely. Yeah, let's talk about it. So, listen, we're certainly disappointed in this deficit that we have, but let's just really get an understanding of what it is and what it is not. And what it is not is final. And so I say that because this deficit is still being worked on because the books have not been closed for the school year yet. And so we do anticipate that there will be some additional corrections that will lessen this deficit. But when we talk about a deficit, most folks seem to think that this deficit is that we are in the negative, and that's not the case. Let me reassure our community that the Hillsborough County School District is doing fine. We still are financially stable. What the school board is not happy with is that our savings account or our fund balance was spent down more than we would have liked it to have been spent down, right? And so
How
we
did
had
that
about,
happen? How
yeah,
did that
well,
happen?
um, poor planning and miscommunication by our superintendent. Listen, they counted their eggs to hatch before they had actually hatched. The school board had given the superintendent and his bargaining staff, his staff, $39 million to negotiate salaries. Well, they wound up spending obviously more than that, about 25 million more than that, because they just simply had not anticipated some increased costs, things like benefits and those types of things. And it's something that, as the CEO of the school district, the superintendent should have been in front of. And so, working with the budget, there's a lot of anticipated dollars. And I tell you, they just assumed things would turn out one way, which was reported to the school board as gospel, and it actually had fallen through. But I told you, Haiti, here's the good news in all of this. Although our savings account did get spent down a little bit, and we're hoping to see some of that money recouped, the district is doing fine. Even through this pandemic, we've not laid off one person. We've not put one person on furlough. We have paid complete salaries despite most of our staff aren't even working at full potential because they're home. We've continued to run the operation of this district without pause. We've been able to take care of COVID related issues without pause. Thank God we had the money in our account to deal with this deficit. You see, that's only because over the last 3 to 4 years, this school board held Superintendent Akins, the previous superintendent, accountable for making sure our savings account was healthy. So thank God, when we're talking about this deficit, say thank God that we had the money in our account to deal with it and not be harmed. But once the books are closed and everything is finalized out, we really believe that that deficit is going to shrink. Hopefully it goes away, but we think it will definitely shrink. But we have to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Okay, and we're being joined by Michelle Williams. Thanks for joining us today. So let me ask you. So when there's comments that say that the people on the finance committee, you you're to blame for this. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely, it's not fair. It's actually incorrect. These are people making assumptions. The finance committee has absolutely nothing to do with the budget, okay? Finance committees, any committee, our legislative committee, our facilities committee, our transportation committee, committees are really just put together so that several board members can get together to talk about issues, the topic of the committee, in my case, the finance committee, and we vet what really needs to be brought back to the board for review. I tell you, some of the things we've dealt with, one thing, Haiti, is that I remember meeting with a group of teachers who really complained about not having equal paychecks, and they couldn't properly budget and plan because paychecks would be different each and every time. Well, the finance committee, we tackled that topic, and as a result, we were able to get equalized paychecks in the school district. It's topics like that that we deal with. We don't talk, three board members aren't going to come together to talk about in-depth budget issues. Our CFO meets individually with board members, and of course, we talk about it. We talk about it openly at the board meetings. So the finance committee has nothing to do with the budget and the shortfalls and things like that. We do talk about financial issues, but this deficit is not something that would have ever been discussed. But let me be clear. This was all hidden from the school board members. We were told something very different. We were told something that was not true. There's no way that the school board could have known about this because the superintendent failed to give us accurate and proper information.
And who are we
We
talking about? The current one or the prior one?
The prior one, Superintendent Akins, yeah, just completely gave us wrong information. We don't have staff. We are by law precluded from dealing in the day-to-day operations of the district. We can only rely on what the superintendent is telling us, which is why it's critical that we hire the right superintendent who's trustworthy, who's ethical, who would never put this board in that situation.
Okay,
Trust
so the
me.
committee, the committee has, you can't touch the money, make decisions on the money.
Oh,
You just sit around and talk
no.
about issues that should come before the board,
Yeah,
right? And then
right.
those issues come there, but then when it comes to budget or handling that's all voted on in an open meeting.
Yeah, we don't all our responsibility is to approve a balanced budget. So it comes before the board at the beginning of the fiscal year. Now, we want to kind of keep an eye on the money, and so that's why we mandate that the superintendent be very transparent and openly talk about the status of our budget in an open forum, which is what we do at the board meetings. We don't control the money, we don't touch the money, we don't look at books, we don't do any of that. We rely on the CEO of the seventh largest school district in the United States to handle the budget. That's his job, not a school board. And if what he tells us, we must trust. Unfortunately, we were given bad information, but we were not harmed. Doesn't make it better, but we were not harmed by this misrepresentation. But we never want information to be misrepresented to us or the public.
Okay, so let me ask you, was there at some juncture, who's looking to see, okay, so this is what we were told, and more monies are being spent than what we were told were going to be spent for XYZ.
hmm
Who's able to catch that before the monies keep? Was there anyone that can spot it and say, "Hey, wait, this is what we were told, and now more monies are being paid than what we were told"?
Yeah, well,
Who's the person that looks at that and says, "Hey, wait, Time out. What's going on?
The superintendent, that's absolutely his responsibility. He was aware of what was going on. What he brought to us was just very different. And not that it was a criminal or something like that in any type of way. He just thought that additional monies would come in later that would fix the issue. It just so happens that those additional anticipated dollars never really came, which brought this fallout. And so it's up to his staff and himself to be very transparent in the budget process. There's no way for a board member to know. We simply can only rely on the superintendent. We can speculate. You have to understand the complexities of school board finance. Listen, I've seen the Monday morning quarterbacks with, well, if you look at this date, you would know. It doesn't work that way. This is not like your checkbook at home where you start with the balance and you deduct. It doesn't really work that way. Education finance is very complex. Is largely reported to us based on anticipated dollars. It's just so many different factors. I tell you, it's very complicated.
Okay.
The main issue is, though, Haiti, the
Yeah.
superintendent misrepresented the budget. There's no way we would have known. We relied on him, and he misled everyone.
What other pressing issues are there in the district?
Oh, all types. Listen, we talk about funding. That's the main issue, which is why this deficit has become such a big issue. Florida, Hillsborough County, just like Florida and all states across this great country, education funding is woefully lacking. We simply just don't have education as education funding as a priority. But right now, the hottest topic is what we're going to do about school reopening. Right now, the superintendent has a recommendation on the table to open on August the 24th. And as you guys know, I'm a COVID survivor, so I am staunchly against reopening schools and putting our students, our teachers, and our staffs at risk. And so I'm urging the superintendent to listen to this community, listen to the elected leaders, keep our kids safe. Let's put people over politics and do the right decision and not open the schools until the coast is clear and COVID
Right.
has safely passed.
And the district can do that on their own. They can make that decision, even if
Absolutely.
other counties don't go along. Every county has the power to implement whatever policy they're going to and practice as far as COVID is concerned.
Absolutely, Liz. What we need here in Hillsborough is going to be different than what the folks in Pinellas or Orange County may need. And so we absolutely have to make the best decision for our folks right here in Hillsborough. And with the numbers continuing to climb each and every day, the answer to me is very easy. We keep the schools closed, the doors locked until the threat has passed. And so we're going to make sure that the superintendent is going to listen to the folks here.
You know what? What about the parents that say that they need to send their kids to school because they have to go to work?
Yeah, see, that's always the conflict. I get that, right? We have people have to work and they depend on these schools being open so that they can work and take care of their families. And so, what we've asked the superintendent to do is really take a look at what kind of opportunities we have to assist with that. Can we maybe open some of our high school gyms and still have hosts so families can go to work and their kids have a safe place to go? Families should not be forced to send their kids to an unsafe environment because they have to go to work. This is an issue that we really have to work through. And it breaks my heart that families are voiceless in this matter because of it. But we have an obligation to help these families.
Okay, so we're gonna start taking calls 813-221-9700. If you want to call and ask Tammy a question, I'm gonna start taking calls. Michelle, if you have any questions for Tammy, I just had one last one. If you want to tell the public about what you've done so far, the accomplishments, and why they should give you trust you with another term.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, over the last 4 years, we've made some great impact and we finally started moving the needle in a positive direction here in Hillsborough County. I'm very proud of all of the policies that we were able to pass that directly impact our community. For me, not only do I advocate for students and families, I also advocate for our minority businesses and businesses in Hillsborough County. One policy that I passed was our Office of Supplier Diversity that mandated that more small and minority businesses be used in our construction projects, right? We're the largest employer. We have lots of money flowing through the district. We need to make sure that it flows out equitably. And I tell you, since passing that policy, we are now spending $3 million a month with Black and Hispanic businesses and small and minority businesses even more, women-owned businesses even more. And so advocating not just for families and students, but for our community as well. I'm certainly proud, especially in this time, of our racial equity policy, which is an award winning policy that is now working to eliminate systemic and institutional racism out of this school district. We know that oftentimes our Black students are not safe in the classrooms. They're over policed, they're referred to law enforcement more, they're suspended more, they're disciplined more. And what we know is that behavior among students is the same, no matter what the race is, generally speaking. It's the adult's response to that behavior is the problem. And so we have to work hard to eliminate this implicit bias, this systemic and institutional racism out of our school district to ensure that every student will academically succeed. We've done some great things. I've gotten rid of the cold cheese sandwiches. Every student now can eat a hot lunch, regardless of their account balance. It's shameful that for generations, we penalize students for their parents' financial woes. Kids were forced to eat cold cheese sandwiches while other kids got hot lunches because of overdue account balances. That's economic and food discrimination. And I've eliminated that with the policy. So we've done so much more. Listen, Haiti, I can talk about all of the policies I've implemented and all of the great programs that have started under my leadership. But just know that our community is doing better. We're not doing great, but we're doing much better. And over the next 4 years, I look forward to working more to make sure our community becomes great.
Where can the voters learn more about your platform?
Yeah, so my website is www.keeptamara.com, KEEPTAMARA.com. You can also catch me just about every other Tuesday at our Hillsborough County school board meetings. And I do carry also a heavy social presence, a social media presence as well. But my website is keeptamara.com.
Okay, well, yeah, okay, before you get, I just want to remind again the viewers, those who are tuning in, 813-221-9700. You can call in and ask Tamara, um, Tammy, whatever question you have. Go, Michelle.
Timmy, will parents and students be penalized if we choose not to send our children and grandchildren and great grandchildren to school? You know what I'm saying, with the opening of schools in Hillsborough County, because I've already discussed it with my daughter. Is 29 and my son is 25, but I have two grandsons that are getting ready to start kindergarten and one getting ready to go into the second grade, and I'm extremely reluctant about sending my children because, one, I know how clean we keep our household. I cannot speak for the next parent or the next mother who's a single mother who can't come home and sanitize her house after every child. It concerns me that the classrooms will not be sterilized nor sanitized between class periods. These are the things that because a child don't touch their face, a child don't know how to cough in their arm or sneeze in their arm. These are issues that's concerning me. And if Ron DeSantis, our governor of the state of Florida, takes issues and talking about and want to threaten to cut the budget, then we need to recall him. We need to make sure that we vote him out. We already have the opportunity to get a new president, but these are things that are concerning me. I know you already heard them, but people knew that I was going to be coming on today, and that is like the top three, questions that people wanted me to ask you. Are we going to get in trouble? Will our children be penalized? Will our grandchildren be penalized if we choose not to send them to school this school term? Because my grandson, he did exceptionally well on his online courses.
Yeah, great question. Listen, I think you'd be smart not to send your kids back to the classroom. Should an edict go forward to open on the 24th? I hope that you and your kids and all of our community members elected and completed that declaration of intent to keep their kids in e-learning. There's never going to be any consequence. We're not going to penalize families for making the best decision for their families. Now, if for some reason you did not complete that declaration of intent, you would have defaulted to the brick and mortar option, meaning that you need to take your kids to school on the 24th. I don't really see that as being an option. And I don't see that families should be penalized. But I tell you, we are voting on this. The school board will be on this Thursday at 3 p.m. I hope everyone will be watching. You know my position. Schools should not open. And I'm going to encourage the superintendent and, of course, my school board members to vote against reopening so that we don't have to worry about if there's any penalty. No family should ever have to choose sending their kids to school or saving their lives. And so, absolutely, we're going to make sure that there's no penalty for choosing safety over the classroom.
My biggest thing is also, school board member Schamburger, is that a lot of parents, a lot of single mothers who have opted out for participating in further destruction of a black man being in prison because his driver's license is suspended because of child support. And when they don't participate with that, they take the Medicaid away, you know what I'm saying, from that household. Now, what a lot of people want to say is, no, Miss Williams, you're wrong. No, Miss Williams is right. I've seen the documentation. I've got copies of letters that mothers have redacted their personal case number off of, where the Medicaid office has taken the Medicaid away from them. So these children can't go to the doctor. So if these children get a common cold, now you got mama and grandmamas and great grandmamas, you know what I'm saying, is still living, trying to do home remedy and old wives' tales on how to try to keep these children safe. I'm so happy that I'm seeing a lot of more presence of organic and, you know what I'm saying, and healthier eating going on in the black race. I'm just so, like, I can't even exclaim how ecstatic I am about social media. Like, we are really doing something about our health right now. But that was like question number 2, is a lot of mothers are being penalized because they're not participating with child support. So they don't have the Medicaid anymore inside their household, and they can't take the children to the doctor. Of course, they can get the child shots for free at the health department, but if a child gets a common cold, they're trying to do over-the-counter remedies. Jeez. Well, there is no over-the-counter remedy if your child has symptoms like COVID-19 symptoms that appear now, from what I read from the CDC, that now their symptoms are a runny nose, a dry cough now, and I think it was and a fever, and you know, the fever is still added in there. So these are symptoms that appear to be a common cold. So a mother gonna try to treat her child with a common cold remedy over the thing? No. So yes, I will be making sure that I advocate on my Facebook social media presence that everybody in their mama and grandmama and great grandmama needs to be watching that Hillsborough County School Board meeting and voting the public, saying, no, we ain't gonna send our kids into this danger. We don't know what this is. We don't know. If it's killing adults, it's gonna start killing our children. And if it's, guess what? I'm not a scientist, and nor I'm just saying, in my opinion, we don't know how deadly this can be. This can sterilize our little black girls and our little black boys. We already have an issue. You know what I'm saying? We already have an issue with the Kennedy, one of the Kennedy gentlemen that put the information out that, you know, immunization shots and vaccines was killing the minority children. So I have an issue with that. Anything that's going to not be able to procreate the black race, I have an issue with that. So I ain't trusting the government. I'm not trusting COVID-19. But however, what I am doing, I've already said it before, and I don't care who gets mad. My support is to keep you in there for another 4 years. I endorse you today that I advocate that TAMMY SHAMBURGER remains in the seat of District 5 for Hillsborough County School Board member, because it doesn't make sense to make some change all because somebody mad at you. Boom.
Well, amen on that. I appreciate that. Listen, thank you so much. You know, you're a strong community advocate, and that means a lot to me. Listen, you just brought up some other points that I haven't thought about. That's why it takes all of us working together. We know when we talk about, our Black community, listen, the disparate access to healthcare is a real thing here. And so why would we be forced to send our kids to school when we don't have access to appropriate and adequate healthcare to get these kids taken care of? We don't also want to, let our kids contract it at school and then they take it home and spread it to the whole family. Listen, we got to stop playing guessing games with this stuff. Close the doors, keep them closed, and let's wait until this thing completely passes. I just, I know there's daycare issues and there's other issues, but listen, folks, don't send your kids back to school on the 24th, not until we can say that it's safe to do so. There's nobody that can guarantee that these kids are going to be safe. I don't care what the plan says. I wouldn't take any risk. And so, Michelle, thank you so much for bringing up that point. That's something that I'll be discussing as well.
Well, I know that you're juggling work and coming on, which that demonstrates the dedication that you have to reach out, engage the voters, the public, to discuss these important issues. So they're blessed to be able to have somebody that is as passionate and dedicated in taking from your work time to engage virtually, so that they're well informed. We have 5 more minutes. I'm going to leave the call-in line open for those of you that are, even if they are people have the right to criticize, right? You're in a position of power to make policy. So if you go into that domain, then that's something that any politician, candidate, somebody in office should be subject to scrutiny, criticism. Right now, we're opening up the line. Call in 813-221-9700 to ask Tammy directly whatever it is that your concerns, comments, criticisms may be, and she's open, has allowed herself the to be open to even getting calls that are critical of whatever it is she's doing and engaging whomever it may
Yeah.
be that would want to call 813-221-9700. No one's calling, no one's
But let me say
commenting.
this. Well, let
Yes.
me say this though. Listen. As you know, you always see me on Facebook or Instagram. I'm here. Listen. This community is my passion. I'm never gonna shy away from the hard conversations. You would never hear me say that I'm perfect, but I'm gonna always make the best decisions based on the information that I have. Now, if you're not happy with the policy decision that I've made, if you feel like I'm lacking information, I'm always, no matter the day or time, available to talk about it. We lose as a community, though, when we don't challenge policy, but we start attacking personal character. It really gets us nowhere. But listen, I'm never going to shy away from the hard conversation. Um, I implore people to help make me better. If I'm not doing a great job, then meet with me, call me, talk with me, and I'm always open for some constructive criticism.
Okay,
But
we have
every
a caller.
decision I've made has been for the best of this community.
Thanks, Tammy. Caller, you're live. Go ahead and ask your question or make your comment.
Yes. Um, we understand that sometimes we get positions and we use that position and power to demean or take away others' jobs, demote. We also got to understand that you're in a position that you're handling a great amount of money, and that money lost is not going to help our kids. How are we going to find out, or how are we going to get that money back that was misplaced or mishandled, or however we want to say that? Yes, it's important that our kids do the right thing, our parents do the right thing, but the people in leadership should show leadership ability by doing the right thing in a position with the monies that they're given to utilize and better our kids in their education in other areas. And then you said that you guarantee that the black companies are getting more money, that they're being offered better opportunities. Can you elaborate on that again?
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, caller.
So I guess we'll talk about, first of all, let me just say that as a school board member, I don't handle, or we don't handle any money. That's the job of the superintendent. It is our job to make sure that we hire a superintendent who is going to responsibly handle the taxpayers' dollars and who's going to prioritize the money where it needs to be prioritized, namely in District 5, making sure that there's equity and our kids and our teachers are getting absolutely everything they need to academically succeed. Now, in terms of our Office of Supplier Diversity, again, this division was founded many decades ago under the leadership of former school board member Ms. Doris Ross Reddick. Well, since its inception, nothing has ever changed in that division. It's just kind of been status quo. And I tell you, our black businesses were languishing. They just weren't getting their due. And so I take issue with that. We need to make sure that dollars that flow into the district flow out of the district equitably. And so I stepped in, I met with this division. I said, what can we do to ensure our black businesses and our minority businesses and our small businesses are getting their fair share of the pie? Well, we made a policy change where now it is mandated that more minority businesses are using these multi-billion-dollar construction projects. And because of that, now they're getting more dollars. Right now, currently, we're spending $1 million per month with small black businesses right here in Hillsborough. I tell you, what we're spending in a month is more than what most entities are spending in a whole year, like the Hillsborough County government. We're spending more a month than what they spend in a whole year. And so that's very important to me that we take care of our small and minority businesses. Why for decades had that never been addressed? I'm not sure. But I have to advocate for our community as a whole. If our community is strong, then education will be strong. So I advocate on all ends. But managing the money, make sure it's appropriately spent, put in the right pots, and it's addressing the right issues is my main concern, especially for District 5 as the only black board member on this school board.
Okay, well, it's 3:31. I don't have any other questions. Michelle, do you have any additional questions? If not, Tammy, I'm going to let you have a couple of minutes to address the voters. Just tell us whatever, or tell them whatever they need to be mindful of as far as voting now. Ballots are out, and
Yeah.
the dates that they need to be mindful of.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much, Haiti and Michelle, for having me on today. Two strong community advocates. Is this level of work and engagement that really makes our community as great as it is. Now is the time to vote. I want you to stay home, stay safe, and vote by mail. Ballots were mailed out a couple of weeks ago. Get that thing off your kitchen counter, dust it off, open it up, fill it out. Vote Tamara Schamberger for Hillsborough County School Board District 5 and put it in the mailbox today and get it back in. You need to voice your civic duty. Election day is August the 18th. I believe early voting starts on August the 3rd. But if you have a vote by mail ballot, that is the best way to go. And let me just close with this. It's been an honor to serve you on the Hillsborough County School Board. Listen, I am very accessible. If you have any questions about any policies that I've made, or if you want to know about some rumors that you've heard, I encourage you to reach out to me. When you're hearing things, you need to see, is it personal or is it policy? I tell you, I'm a strong advocate for this community. I'm okay with talking about issues. I fight with the community just as much as I fight for the community. But we do it because sometimes we have to go through those things so we can make our community stronger. We've made some great policies over the last 4 years. I've held the superintendent accountable. We're starting to see the results in our schools. And I tell you, over the next 4 years, I look forward to making a greater impact. My training wheels are off. I'm the only candidate with experience. I'm the only candidate that can actually articulate the roles and responsibility of this job. With the new superintendent at the helm learning the district, we certainly don't need a new school board member as well. We have to make sure that our kids and our students in District 5 are getting what they need. They're too vulnerable to have two new people leading the way. And I tell you, I've done an excellent job over the last 4 years, and I look forward to serving you again. Remember, Tamara Schamberger, Hillsborough County School Board, District 5, 2020 beyond. Let's get the work done together, you guys.
Thanks, Tammy. Thanks
You're
for coming
welcome.
on. Thank you, Florida You Judge viewers, for tuning in. Subscribe to the Florida You Judge page. Follow it so that you can get. We're gonna continue having good programming, broadcasting on subject matter that is important to you, to our communities. Thanks, Michelle, also for co-hosting with me. And tonight we're on, right? Again, and it's gonna be a hot, hot, hot broadcast. Yes, we're gonna be talking about campaigning, judicial campaigning, and mailers, and concerning or problematic, questionable tactics. So see you all at 8 o'clock, and then at 7 o'clock we're gonna have a judicial candidate, Hillsborough judicial candidate Greg Green at 7. Thanks for tuning in. Haiti Oropesa with Florida You Judge. Till tonight. Thank you. Bye.